The first question that I have for you, I'm starting this new series where
Uh-huh.
I ask people to share some information about themselves so that they can impart some of the wisdom that they have and some of their experiences,
Mhm.
as well as possibly make a difference in someone else's life, because I believe this will help some
For
people around
sure.
the world. So the first question that I have for you is, what advice would you give your teenage self if you were to go back in time right now
Mhm.
to make a
That's an
difference?
interesting question. Very interesting. I would actually tell my young teenage self to find out what my purpose, like find out about your purpose, your talents and giftings.
How would you do
Um,
that? How would you tell yourself how to do that?
I would actually ask people what my strengths, like not just ask people, like test out like my strengths and stuff, find out what my strengths are, and actually add my strengths and abilities and inclinations and work towards that. And not only that, but also ask for advice from other people as well, whether my parents, teachers, advisors, mentors, and see,
Would you have listened to them, like knowing your past and who you were? Would you have listened to mentors and parents and stuff
oh
if they
yeah,
told you?
definitely. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I like I was saying, like it would have been better to know what your purpose at a younger age before trying to sort it out later in life. Yeah, that would have been a great help, like to
So
tell my
you,
teenage stuff.
yeah, so you never had anyone do that for you?
No, it wasn't until was in my 20s that that's when it started to happen and stuff. But I wish it had gone young, like my teenage years, or even younger than that. To know that. The other thing I would do was to sit under mentors, especially ones that were successful. Like, say, for example, if I loved, say, life coaching, I'd find someone who's already doing it and successful and has fruit. Because I don't want to just follow anybody. Like, I want to see their marriage, their finances. Is it successful? Have they got a record history of, who they are and what they do and all this other stuff? I would have loved that. So yeah.
Would you have been open to that as a young person? Would you have
Oh
wanted
yeah,
to put
definitely.
yourself under a mentor? Yeah.
Yeah, I was at that age. I was very gullible. Yeah, and I loved stuff, but I didn't have that, which
Okay.
was really a sad thing because although I didn't get into that rough patch of following the crazy crowd and stuff, I grew up in church, so didn't go down that path or anything. But if I had that, that support, that mentoring and stuff, I think I would have started early and been better. But anyway, it's
And
happened. So
would you have been open to somebody older?
oh
Um,
yeah, oh yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay.
was very, yeah, definitely.
Okay. Just kind of in relation to that question, what would you tell your younger self regarding your strengths, inclinations, and abilities? Because I know you mentioned them in that answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
What would you say about your strengths to tell yourself about your strengths?
like I said, I would first of all identify what they were, and when I found what they were, I would actually work on doing better. Like, say for example, I love with encouraging people. Okay, and so that encouragement, I was like, how could I do better in this? And what would like being sharpened in that area, like have mentors, get help, find go online and find research, do research, not just online, but find books on that and stuff like that. Get help, find mentors and accountability, or maybe do those tests that we do now, where you go online and find out what your strengths are and all this other stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, definitely
What
find out.
difference would that make if you went online and did a test and stuff like that and got an answer? What difference? What would you tell yourself back then about that?
I would definitely be ahead of my time and stuff had I known that. Like there was a lot of delays. Now looking back, there was a lot of delays. Had I known what my purpose, my strengths and abilities, I would have been further ahead than what I am, better than I was back then. Like I would be, going down, like streamline, know what your focus is and head it down there instead of trying to zigzag between different
Yeah.
things, trying to figure out who am I, what am I doing here, and all
Yeah.
this other stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that. Now, what would you pretend you're talking to yourself? What would you say about your weaknesses?
Oh, I definitely would tell myself to work on this. I want, first of all, identify what those weaknesses. For example, I've identified procrastination, and once I've identified that, I would actually um, find accountability, someone to actually work with me, have goals set up, and actually work towards getting better, having setting goals, getting feedback, working on those goals, and also rewarding yourself. When I improve, like say for a month, I'll try this out, and when I get improve and stuff, reward myself for putting the hard yards in and actually doing better.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So, with yourself, so you're a goal-oriented person, is that right?
I sure am.
And that's why that would have made a difference for you. Is that
Oh
what you're
yeah.
saying?
But not just being goal oriented hated, because you can have your goals but not be motivated, or having like a big huge thing for me would be accountability and being motivated, because you can have all the goals in the whole world, but if you're not motivated and if you don't have that accountability, someone's like, hey,
Yeah.
checking on you, how are you doing with this, and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So
It's
yeah.
it's interesting you mentioned accountability because a lot of people and a lot of younger people are not open to being accountable. They don't want people to tell them what to do.
What to do.
But
Yeah.
it's actually an advantage to yield to that because you end up
Mm,
learning from somebody else's mistakes instead of having to learn from your own.
exactly.
And sometimes when we're in community with one another, we learn things that we wouldn't have thought of. And
Oh, totally.
yeah,
Totally.
yeah,
But I
uh,
also believe that there are teenagers out there like me.
yes,
Back
yeah,
then, I was gullible and I was open to change, to do better. I
yeah,
mean, like, not every teenager would want to listen to you, but the ones who are open, you look for those ones that are open. Like, I wouldn't just go and advise any teenager. I would wait for those who are come to me for advice, looking for advice, or who are committed, like, I want to do this thing here, I want to change. I don't mind coming alongside those ones. Like, I wouldn't go and just advise anybody, but like those who I know who are willing to change, and I see, oh yeah, they have potential and stuff for that, I'd love to come alongside them.
yeah. That's good. Thank
Encourage
you
them.
for that. Yeah, it's interesting because I think most teenagers, most young people, are
Mm-hmm.
actually open to have help and to have guidance and stuff. And
Yes,
I think they naturally are open, but those who are not open or if they become closed, it's because of a lot of trauma and they've been pushed down and talked so
that's
much
it.
against that those gates have shut
For sure.
because they want to protect themselves because they've been hurt or disillusioned, but
Yeah.
it's actually an advantage and a good thing to be open to the right ones.
Oh
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
that's it.
Thank you for that. The other thing is, what would you tell yourself to avoid?
mm. um there was some things like you mentioned earlier. There was some things like trauma and things that you can't avoid. Like, it's part of the package. I didn't start out well. I'm not gonna lie about that. I didn't
Yeah.
start out well, but that's not where I'm gonna end. But what I was trying to say is sometimes you go through those hardships and trials to become the better person that you are today. I'm grateful for going through those hard yards, with the trauma. With It's not nice, especially when you're born into that environment or you're
So,
around that
so what would
environment.
you advise yourself then? What would you tell yourself about that to help yourself get through it?
I would actually say, hang on, get help. That's the first thing. Go get help from advisors, psychology. There's a lot of help out there on the internet, on people maybe in your organizations, at work and stuff. There's help, a lot of mental health and all this other stuff out there. Go get help. Also, again, being open to mentors and having accountability, because people in community, you can't do it on your own. You need people around you to help you. It takes a community to raise up a child. Like, you can't do it on your own in isolation. You need people around you to be able to tell you, hang on a minute. But then also, there are times where you'll have to face it head on, those fears, whatever it is, face it in order to overcome it. You can't keep running away from that problem, because every time you run away from it, you'll meet it in another place until you face it head on. And yeah.
Yeah. One thing that I would tell myself to avoid if I was to go back is don't allow negative people who don't believe in you, who don't like you, who want to judge you, to have power in your life.
Oh yes.
Don't let those words come in there and have
Mm,
impact on you, because just because someone says something doesn't mean you have to be a landing strip for them to come in.
that's it.
So do you, what do you think about that? And what else would you tell yourself to avoid? Because
Oh yeah. Definitely toxic people. Avoiding, like you said, avoiding toxic people and places that wouldn't encourage you, or even yeah, definitely those kind of situations, and getting into drugs and all this other stuff that's not going to help you move forward and stuff like that, like with drugs or
so what would you
drinking and all that.
what would you say to yourself about drugs then?
I wouldn't be able to speak to that because I didn't take drugs. I didn't get into
Okay.
drugs or alcohol and stuff like that. So I wouldn't know what, like, I would probably be the other person saying, hey, that's not safe. Because I've seen it for myself. I mean, I've never taken it, but I've seen others in my own family
Yeah.
and close to me take it, and the result of them going down, like,
Yeah.
financial problems, going to debt, out on the streets and stuff like that. If I would encourage you to get help.
Yeah.
There are people that love you and believe in you and want to help you get out of that cycle, that destructive cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are
Yeah.
people like me and you who are
Yeah.
here to help and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah. I know one thing I would say as well is that um, if you're feeling lonely and you don't have many friends, the thing is, look around. There's obviously people around you who are feeling the same way, who don't
Mm,
have a friend, who are feeling isolated, or who may be even being picked on. Why not take the leadership and learn how to befriend someone and make a difference in someone else's life? I
mm,
think if a lot more people, young people, did that instead of waiting from someone from the outside to do it to them, to proactively themselves do that for somebody else. Go befriend someone who's sitting by themselves, who's always
mm,
isolated, who's always picked on, and get
mm.
to know who that person is. Because everyone's a treasure, and it's amazing the things that you find out and how amazing people really are.
That's for sure. That's for sure. And I guess it's also having that boldness and courage, because I have a 13-year-old niece
Yeah,
who loves to keep to herself. Like, and it takes courage to get out of that me sort of thing, to get out and get help. And she'll be in her room one by seven, like, so we have to like encourage her and support and come alongside her to
yeah,
get to that place. So
yeah,
yeah. And it takes a lot of courage to do that.
yeah.
Like, it's not
It
easy. Like,
does. It does. One of the biggest things that would help a person, a young person, and even now, because it's not an age related thing, is don't
mm,
focus on yourself. Stop focusing on yourself. Don't make it about me, me, me. Make it about a service type of oriented mind. How can I
mm,
make a difference? What can I do? Because really, the greatest of the people are the servants of all. Like the great master teacher Jesus said, that the greatest is the servant, not the one being served. Did you want to add anything to that or no?
sure. Oh yeah. And also, I guess it's also training, because how what I noticed, and this is just from observing my own nieces and nephews and stuff, because this whole, when you go through that teenage thing, you are so self-focused.
Mm,
I guess it's the ability to be able to pull that out of them, and to train them and train their brains in a way that will think not just about me sort of thing, but there are other people. So I remember going on a mission trip, I think 3 years ago, to Thailand with these three teenagers,
wow.
teenage
Yeah.
boys. They've
Yeah.
never been to that part of the thing, and three teenage with a teenage girl. Yeah. And it actually helped them get out of that mentality that there are other kids out there, other children that don't have it well as I do. And they thought about, oh, we in New Zealand, we picked on this and this and this and stuff. But when we went out there, we learned to eat what they eat. We learned to step into their feet and see what it's like outside of my own little box and self. And yeah, it was so amazing to see those teenagers
I
grow out
love
and
that. I
just
love that.
embrace that. Mm.
I love that because seeing something from someone else's eyes is very precious because you get the
Mm.
benefit of what they've been through without actually having to go through it yourself.
Yourself. Exactly.
Yeah, that's
Exactly.
good. Yeah, that's good. Um, okay, and what would you encourage?
I would actually say choose wisely. The people that you hang out with, the mentors, getting the right asking for help, going out there, like, getting the right, not just the right info, but the right people to speak to and the right friends. Because
Okay, sorry, let me interrupt you. When you're talking about the right friends there, what would you say about for that friends? What is your
we were
advice?
all great kids. Uh, I'm just speaking of my experience. Great kids, grew up in church and stuff like that, but not motivated when it came to our goals. And I think because we were just naive, like you're so protected within the organization that you don't see that there's another world out there. And I wish we had not just being in our safe bubble, but we're able to venture out again, like how you were saying, you have to step out, like to step out of your little, just about you and your friends and your little circle, in your little bubble, but to actually step out and find out about people and, those who, like, follow those who are doing this, living life successfully, those mentors, those people, go and search them out rather than just being safe. Oh yeah, we're fine in our little bubble. I would say that those choices, because we chose to stay, even though it was nice, it was fun, but we didn't get out of our comfort zone to actually go pursue, the things that really interest us and stuff. But we thought, oh yeah, we go to school, but we didn't really intentionally step out of our comfort zone to pursue, finding those mentors, those people who are actually doing well in the area, especially the area that we love, the
Yeah,
area
yeah,
that we wanted to be, wanted to become later in life. But how can you become that if you don't have the mentors and the people around you, and if you don't step out of your comfort zone to go do research, find people, get help,
yeah.
sort of things. That yeah,
I think it's a tricky thing because often when we're young, we don't have the courage or the strength or the might or whatever it is to do it, but we actually do, but we just don't think we do.
exactly.
I think the intention, like you says, if you put yourself in an intention to do that, then the
Mm,
courage comes along and the way opens up and everything. Once you get an idea with your friends, if you've got the right friends, if you've got the wrong friends
yes.
that aren't interested in that, so that's where friendship comes in again, then it wouldn't do any good. But
Yeah.
if you have the
True.
right friends and you start to decide, let's make a difference in someone's life, let's include someone, let's find out
That's
about
it.
this, you could really open up your whole world a lot earlier than having to
That's it.
wait when you're an
That's it.
adult.
Yeah.
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 What would you tell a young person now about bullying, the subject of bullying? Would you say anything?
If you're in the situation where you're being bullied, you need to reach out, step out, and honestly get help. Go out there. There are people that love you, your teachers, your parents. There's police and stuff like that out there. Get help. Don't suffer in this alone. Get help, and there are people who are willing to help you and suffer that. And if you are the bully, the person that's
Yeah,
doing the
yeah, I was
bullying,
going to ask you that.
yeah, if you're the person that's doing the bullying, please stop. That's not okay. It is not fine. Um, I know you're doing what you're doing because something was done to you, but how you start is not how you will end. You can do better. Get help again. Get help. There are people who are willing to help you get over that bullying, whatever it is, or wounds and stuff in your heart. Yeah, get help
Yeah.
on
And
both
that,
sides.
and the other thing too is that um, you know you bullying someone else or pushing someone else is not going to solve your problem, and it's actually
No,
not going to make you feel better about yourself. It's
exactly.
actually going to make you
It's
feel
worse.
worse about yourself because there's a witness inside yourself that's witnessing
Mm,
against you. So there's a conflict, there's a war in you, because we all
exactly.
know deep down that that's wrong.
Yeah,
So if you can, find the power and decide to control yourself and to stop doing that
for
and
sure.
find another way to solve your problems that would be better for them.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, um, just one last question. Thank you very much for this. But the last question is, what would you tell a young person today, right now, if there's someone watching this, and they kind of, mixed up in this confused, broken world where things are wrong and they're constantly being wounded and hurt because we all are.
Hmm.
What advice would you give somebody right now?
You are worth it. You have a purpose and a destiny. There are people that love you and believe in you. We want you to believe in yourself. There's so much potential. There's so much destiny and giftings and things within you. And I would like to encourage you again. There are people out there. They're meant to step out of your comfort zone. I know it's hard, but it'll take courage to actually step out and get help. Be intentional. Like if you want to be a doctor, go for it. Find people who are actually doing well in that area. Get help, research, go and learn from them. Learn from and if you're being a doctor or a teacher or something, learn from them. Be around people that actually they believe in you. We believe in you. Like you can do it. You can be all that you're called to be and more. And believe in yourself and step out. You can do it. Also, be mindful of your choices as well, because the choices you make today not only affects you, but the generations after you and the area of influence that you will one day lead, or even now leading with your friends and stuff. The choices are so, so important. Make wise choices. Mm,
Thank you for that. What I wanted to say as well, in addition to that, is that, we create our world and the world gets created here first. So whatever you
sure.
think and whatever you imagine plays a big role as to the kind of life that you have and the kind of experiences you have. Now, there
Oh,
are
yeah.
some things that are out of our control, but how we perceive and how we interpret what happens is vital for us.
Mm,
So, if you are being treated wrongly and people are calling you names, like a
mm,
tennis player, you can just bat it back and you can say, no, I'm not going to take that. That's not
no,
me. That's their stuff, not my stuff. And I
mm,
choose to interpret what's being told in another way. So you have to start thinking about what you're thinking and stop anything that's toxic, that
mm,
doesn't produce what you want. And
yeah.
I think a lot of young people don't realize that. Um, it's who you listen to, it's what you listen to, and it's how much credibility you give to what you listen to.
For sure. And could
Yeah,
I add to another thing?
yeah,
It's not life. Life is not perfect. Things are gonna come at you, hurdles, put downs. People put you down and stuff like that. But you're resilient. You can do it. Like again, in your mindset, it's like you stand up again and you keep moving forward.
yeah,
It's not going to be a bed of roses. In order to achieve those goals and be the person it took Alexander Bell, I think it was, 1,000 times to fail. Like if he didn't get up again and keep doing it, we wouldn't have electricity
yeah,
today and the telephones and and
yeah,
all that stuff.
yeah,
So keep trying, never give up, be
yeah.
resilient. You got this.
Yeah, it's part of the process, isn't it?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, making mistakes is part of the process, and that's how we learn. And
Mm.
we live in a broken world where people don't keep their promises. They say things they
Oh yeah.
regret, and they do things that they regret. It's all part of the learning process. So it's good
Yeah.
not to take ourselves seriously in the things that we do wrong, but learn from them. I think if we can learn from ourselves and learn about ourselves,
Mm.
that's when the focus on self is good.
Oh,
And
for sure. For sure.
and to value ourselves, to love ourselves, so that we have something to give. You
Yeah.
know, yeah.
Definitely. Definitely. And totally in agreement with that.
Do you have any social media or something like that where you can be
Yes, I'm on
contacted?
Instagram. I'm on Instagram. I'm called Bula Vakalebu Sara Consultancy. You can reach me there on Instagram and stuff.
Thank you, Sessa. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing that information. And I pray that it would help someone who's listening to it or give somebody some enlightenment so they can make better decisions. Thank you very much. Thank you, Sessa.
Thank
Thank you. Bye
you.
bye.
See ya.